You ready to do this, Matt?
Yes, sir. Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Matt Shaw. We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 215. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on the website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Matt, what is going on? Crazy. We're after the new year. I'm so happy to
Yeah.
see you again. We're living in the future. It's 2021. How are you, my friend?
Man, I'm great. I'm great because it's 2021, right? And that's supposed to fix everything.
Everything.
So,
Everything is fixed.
like, there's no problems.
Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
Everything is cool in 2021.
2020 sounds better there,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter because it's
No.
not.
Does it though?
2020
No.
doesn't sound better for anything. So, yeah, man, it's been a great week. Um, we didn't do a lot. Just to kind of prep everyone, not a lot happened for us.
Really?
No family. I mean, there's no family over
Uh,
Christmas. There's no family over New Year's. So we just kind of hung out. We played with the kids, played with their new Christmas stuff.
hmm. Yep.
Jesse and I finished, well, for my second time, Jesse's first time, we watched Ted Lasso. It took us 3 days. We just went hardcore into it.
Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso
I
again.
I
I've
have
talked about Ted Lasso.
I have no memory of this, but okay. I
Well,
believe
Ted
you.
Lasso is the show on Apple TV Plus that he's the
Oh,
American football coach who goes over to England to coach in the Premier League
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, now I
with
remember.
Jason Sudeikis, and I hate Jason Sudeikis, and I refused to watch it for a long time because I hate that man.
Yeah.
However, I was convinced, and I watched it, and it was my favorite new show of last year.
Hmm.
Of 2020. And I mentioned that in my little like shows that surprised me as kind of my best
Right.
of 2020s. That was one of those shows that was so good.
Huh.
So we watched that again. Her first time, my second time.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of hung out like on New Year's Eve. There are two other families in our neighborhood that we've kind of created a little bubble with so the kids have somebody to see and play with.
Yeah.
And they came over and I smoked ribs on New Year's Eve.
See, you said you
And
didn't
so
do nothing. You did stuff.
we did some, I mean, we did some stuff. That was the
Okay.
only thing we did. But New Year's Eve, we
Mm-mm-mm.
smoked some ribs and it was really delicious and had kind of a little get together, which just so everyone knows, we were safe, like I said, and it is not
Socially
against any
distant. Yeah,
local
yeah.
orders or anything in San Antonio, Texas to do this.
Okay.
Um, anyway, so then they all left and tried to put the kids down, but there's fireworks constantly all night long. So it was
Yeah.
kind of an up and down, left and right sort of a situation. But they went to bed eventually. Everything worked out great. Jesse and I just hung out and watched all the weird New Year's Eve things on TV. And it was kind of surreal to see like the streets of New York City pretty much empty with like really weird performances by Pitbull to
I
like six
forgot about
people
all of
in
that.
weird. Yeah, I mean, I wish I did. but we usually don't do a lot of stuff with anybody on New Year's Eve, so we look for something live to entertain us. So
Okay.
that was what it was. Anyway, there was some really funny stuff, some cringy stuff. We watched the local news too. It's really fun in San Antonio to watch the local countdown because you never know what's going to happen. It's local news.
Sure.
And yeah, and then New Year's Day was super chill. We just got up and we really didn't do anything on New
Mm.
Year's Day. We had like a spiral honey ham or whatever, spiral
Yeah.
sugar whatever thing with potatoes and stuff. And
Food.
but other than that, I don't even know that we left the house. We just kind of hung out.
Mm.
And like Emmy watched Soul, I believe, and she actually liked it, which was kind of surprising, but she liked
Really?
Soul
Okay.
a lot actually. And yeah, and then Saturday we just again more of the same. It's in those weeks between around Christmas through New Year's, it's all kind of like
Yeah.
every day's the same, especially when there's just not a lot of things that you want to go out and do. And
Yep.
anyway, so that was
Yep.
Saturday. We went out and we got some treats with the kids in the afternoon. Um, and Sunday rolled around and you texted me and said, "Hey, podcast, let's chat." And I was didn't answer for like 6 hours because I had a raging migraine all morning. I was nauseous. It was terrible.
Mm.
Um, so that was my Sunday, but I did get to watch Safety on Disney Plus about the Clemson college football player, that Disney Plus original movie they put out like 2 months
Yeah.
ago
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
last month, maybe. It was excellent. It was
Really?
excellent. I would definitely recommend it. It was, especially if you like college football or you're interested in that life and the rules and the NCAA. And I've got opinions on all of that. Um, Anyways, very, very good, very interesting, heartwarming kind of a story. And then, you know, that leads us to today. And
Wow.
here I am, loving
Okay.
life. Started a week of work, of like real work, like back to real
Yeah.
work and real life and
Back
like
to
reconnecting with
life.
clients. And
Back to reality. I hear you. I hear
yeah,
you.
yeah, man. So that was it. It was a good week.
Okay. Okay.
Hung out and did stuff. And yeah. Oh, duh, we watched Cobra Kai season 3 and finished it. So
You can't say a word. I haven't even
I'm not
started it.
I'm not even I to
Ah.
say anything.
Okay.
Not
So
giving any
here's the thing, and I'll use this to transition into my week. Right.
Yeah.
We haven't watched Cobra Kai yet because we're halfway through the ninth season of How I Met Your Mother, and so it's something we're watching together. And I know that if I start Cobra Kai without Brita, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
So we have to,
As you should.
yeah, yeah. So we have to finish.
Just quit now with How I Met Your Mother. It just gets worse.
I not no no no. Just that last one gets a little rough. I'm actually enjoying the ninth season more on this rewatch than I have in
Okay.
past rewatches.
Okay.
Um,
Good. Good.
so it's, but I know the end and I know what's coming up.
I
So
know.
there's a little of that too,
It's
but
hard.
we'll see. So we haven't started watching Cobra Kai yet. I'm super excited for it. I did watch Wonder Woman 1984, Wonder Woman
Oh, you
84,
did. Okay.
and I watched that and I started seeing a lot of people talking about it online and the Rotten Tomatoes score, and
Right. Right.
it's not doing so hot, and I understand why. Um, Without like going into depth, because I don't want to ruin it for anyone that hasn't seen it that wants to see it. But I'll just say this: the first one was excellent. I mean, excellent, excellent.
Yes.
Like
So good.
high, like it is the high water mark for the DCEU.
Mm-hmm.
This one is not that. If the other one didn't exist and this was the first Wonder Woman movie you were getting, I could say, okay, that's a pretty decent movie. Like, especially for DC, you'd go, that's a pretty decent movie. I'll take
Okay.
it. But the problem is that we're comparing it to the first one, and the first one was
Yeah.
just far and away superior. And what's
Okay.
sad is that it's still Gal Gadot, it's still Patty Jenkins directing it. Like it's still a lot of that same team that did the first one. So don't understand what I don't understand what the disconnect is. Like I don't understand like
Mm,
did they have a different writing team and it was just the story? I mean, some of the things like in the story kind of went like you're like okay,
yeah,
but just like it just felt like the tone of it just felt different. The character I don't know, just anyway. So
yeah.
we did that.
Okay.
We took down Christmas just like 2 days ago on Saturday. Tore down Christmas. The in-laws left. Uh, the in-laws left this morning, first thing in the morning.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so they'd been here with us for a while. So it's one of those things where like it's nice having family around, but it's also like nice to kind of get your house back to just kind of normal. Kids had
Absolutely.
to start school today, and I went back to work today, and even like I loved like I'll just say this. These last 2 weeks have been amazing. Like I've just loved being at home with the kids, spending time with them. Like Charlie and Jackson have been very helpful, very well spirited up until about like the last day and a half. Charlie started getting a little shaky,
Mm,
a little more fits, a little more
yeah, yeah.
what's the word I want to use? Moody. We'll say moody. That's the word
Mm,
for an 8-year-old little boy. Moody.
nice.
Um, but it was that and so like it's kind of good to get back, but then like I didn't get to see them today, and like I missed having them around the house because I was working in the basement where I record the podcast,
Okay.
and so I just
Yeah.
missed the kids and not seeing them. But I did get to go out and go for a walk today with Brita on my lunch break.
Cool.
I'm starting to get a little more active. I'm eating healthier. I'm drinking nothing but water now. So like I'm really gearing up for a another run at really trying to change some lifestyle things and make 2021 the year that I take control again and get healthier. So,
Good.
uh,
Awesome.
yeah, so real excited about that. Let's see. I streamed The Witcher 3 end of last week, like on Friday, which was nice because I it was the first time getting away from like some of the Fall Guys and some of the other stuff that I've streamed, and it was just nice to get back to that game I haven't played in like 9-ish months, and I'm really just like it's on the brain now. Like I just really want to get back and
Yeah.
play that.
Yeah.
Um we played Among Us with the kids. And let me tell you something. They they wanted to play it over and over and over and over and
Yeah, I
over.
believe it.
And so like we played a lot of that with the grandparents and their
Oh.
aunt and us. And now that people have left, they're like, playing it with 4 people is not very fun. I'm like, yeah, that's right. It's not as fun. And they're like,
Mm.
okay, so just know, Matt, that there could be some Among Us in the family going on here in a little bit of a future. So
Okay. Good to know.
the last thing, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
Um, I went and picked up a GameCube today from my brother.
What? Awesome.
It's in kind of busted up shape a little bit. It needs to be cleaned up some. Um, it's that's fine. Like that's the reason I got it for my brother. I
Yeah.
exchanged some whatchamacallit. I did some work for him, some computer work, helping him out with something, and he gave me that in exchange for it. Because the idea is, I got a friend who's a streamer. His name is Retro Stew, and he's in the UK. And he takes these old Game Cubes that are kind of beat up, and he cleans them up. He gets them working again, and then he paints them, and he does like custom paint jobs, and then he sells them. Like
Oh.
he made like Ninja Turtle ones. Like he's done like Batman and the Joker. He's done like
Cool.
all these kind of like really cool looking things. And he was like, "Yeah, man. It's like if you want to find some of those and you want to find one to like practice on or whatnot, it's like I'll walk you through how I fix them and I'll walk you through this and I'll talk with you about how I paint them." It's like it's just a lot of fun. So I picked up a GameCube as like a little hobby, and I'm gonna tinker with it and clean it up and fix it, and I'm gonna come up with some sort of scheme, and I'm gonna paint it and customize it, and kind of practice on this one, and have a working one, and then I may start doing that on the side as like a little side thing to do.
Nice,
So
cool, man.
yeah, like I don't need another hobby, right? Like I've got so many things in my life going on, but I was like, this is a genius idea. I must
Yeah,
do this. And
right.
so, I picked one up. So, anyway,
Very cool.
that was my week in a nutshell. So,
Nice.
uh Matt,
Mm.
we got to get to some killing. We got
Let's do
to
it.
we got to kill them old Bothans. What do you say?
Let's roast them.
Let's do it. I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Matt, we're into Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for me this week?
So let's talk about your favorite thing in the world, which is the Justice League movie.
That like you got my hopes up. You're like favorite thing in the world. I'm
Let's-
like Star Wars, something
Nope.
cool, Justice League. No,
The Justice League, of course.
of course.
So remember Ray Fisher. This is different. It's not about the Justice League per se, but Ray
Okay.
Fisher had some issues that he called out pertaining to Joss
Yep.
Whedon.
Yeah, I remember
Concept
that.
behavior. Warner Brothers did an internal investigation.
That Ray
closed it
Fisher,
and
Ray
things.
Fisher, if I recall, he didn't participate in like they asked him for like a whole bunch of information, and they like wanted to like talk with him, and then like he was like didn't
I
like
don't
do
know
anything.
all of the details, but I
Okay.
think you're right.
Yeah. I remember that.
But I
Yeah.
think you're right. So they did the investigation, then they closed it, and he's still mad.
Okay.
And now he's going after Warner Brothers president Walter Hamada. He's saying that he'll never work on another Warner Brothers or a DC movie as long as he is the president. Said that he's the quote worst kind of enabler, or excuse me, quote the most dangerous kind of enabler. And it talks
Okay.
about him lying and undermining the real issues on the set of Justice League, and basically, yeah, he's not going to participate in any production
Okay.
associated with it.
Was Walter Hamada even like
No,
with the company at that time? Like, was he part of any of
No.
that?
No.
He just presided over the current investigation that just
yeah,
closed.
and now, yeah,
Okay.
yes, exactly. So that's where we are now. So we're never going to see him play Cyborg again, which I don't think anybody's going to care unless he backs down and says, I want to do it.
Here's the reality. That character in that movie wasn't even a very strong character. If I'm just being honest.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if DC wanted to go forward and Warner Brothers wanted to go forward and like recast that role, it probably wouldn't be it would probably be fine.
Well, the good news is you can't really tell because there's so much cybernetic
suit in the
stuff
metal,
all over
yeah.
him that it doesn't matter. And
Has
I
he
don't know
been-
that anybody was like, I love Cyborg. Like, I really don't want them to recast him. I don't think anybody
Here's okay, and this is a little bit of ignorance on my part, and I'm going to say that right here, right now, and admit to it. I don't know Ray Fisher from anything else ever that I'm aware of. This was the only thing I'm aware of, and to me, it sounds like you were in this like massive movie for DC that did make quite a bit of money at the box office. And now there's all these problems, and you're bringing up all this drama, but then not participating when like the company's trying to get serious about your allegations, and now you're saying I'm not going to work. Like, to me, it just sounds very like self-sabotaging. And I don't know, like I don't know all the details, and I don't know what happened, and I don't know his experience, and so I don't want to judge that. But I mean, it seems like he is in the news a lot. and everything he is saying is very negative from an outsider's perspective, very
Right.
negative. And
He
I would
yeah.
imagine that's going to influence his ability to find work in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
I don't
just
I don't totally get it. It's to me similar to and I will tell you how this is different. Not I shouldn't say that, but
okay.
this is like good grief, John Boyega and
Yeah.
his frustration with how Finn was, but he didn't call anybody out in particular.
Nope.
He just said how frustrated he was and is and what they did with his character, and he is correct. I don't think anyone would dispute that.
Sure.
They squandered Finn away and they left him as a nothing character that didn't matter in the end. And that's frustrating.
Well,
This
that
one, it's like this is totally different. There's specific people being called
yeah,
out. There's no
yeah.
examples really that have been proven to actually take place. And he's frustrated with behind the scenes stuff. So anyway,
Mm.
there you go.
It's interesting too you bring up the John Boyega thing because like John Boyega has been very vocal about some issues and issues like involving
Mhm.
race and his treatment and whatnot. But he's done it like with like you said, like without like slinging mud. He's saying like,
Mhm.
look, there's a problem. We need to address this. We need to be aware of
Right.
this. We need to be talking about this, which I think is like the best possible way to shine a light on it. So
Right.
much so that like Disney, and let's be honest, we love Disney, but Disney is famous for anything that seems like negative from any of their actors or stars or whatever. Like Disney will cut people out of productions. They will get rid of people. Disney didn't do that to John Boyega. In fact, Disney helped like make sure he had a bigger platform by like retweeting him and commenting on his stuff and saying like yes, say it louder, stuff like that. Like it seemed that
Right.
Disney was behind him in that, which is completely different because I think he handled it in a very adult mature way. That's just
Right.
my
Right.
take
Right.
on
Right.
it.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right. Yep.
interesting. Interesting,
There you go.
interesting. I also have a little bit of comic news that is not Marvel, but kind of Marvel. Definitely
Okay.
not DC. So, uh, you remember that prior to just a little while ago, last summer, um, or summer, 2 summers ago, technically now, I guess. You remember that like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, they didn't belong to Disney and Marvel.
Right.
The rights for those movies belonged to Fox. Well, Paul Greengrass, who was the director of like the Bourne Supremacy, the whole Bourne trilogy movies,
Okay.
he confirmed that he was in talks about making an X-Men movie, but it was X-Men versus the Fantastic Four. And this
Whoa.
film also would have featured Daredevil and Deadpool. Now, when I first saw that, I was like, okay, X-Men versus Fantastic Four sounds kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen comics X-Men versus the Avengers, but X-Men versus the Fantastic Four, I was like, the Fantastic Four, we haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie yet. So, like,
Right.
but we've had some good X-Men movies. But really,
Yeah.
what kind of caught my attention was that Daredevil was going to be a part of that. Because
Hmm.
back when he was in talks to do this, um, the rights to Daredevil was actually with Fox at the time. And so he was talking about doing this, and this was like back in like I want to say 2011, like somewhere around then. And he was in
Okay.
talks to do it, and it's been confirmed by a couple other people. It was confirmed in. It was confirmed by one of the screenwriter of X-Men First Class, Zach Stentz. And so they were saying like that at one point on the docket could have been an X-Men versus Fantastic Four with Deadpool and Daredevil. And I think of that possibility, Matt, and I'm like, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But if I'm just being completely honest, I'd like to see that, happen like later, because now Disney and Marvel controls all of that again, and they can tie
Yes.
things in a much better way.
Right. Agreed. Agreed.
So
Hmm.
yeah, it's interesting. It's not like I hadn't heard this before. Um, so I mean, it's kind of interesting. Also, Paul Greengrass, the director of the Born Supremacy, Born Ultimatum, like
Right.
he's a pretty decent director. I mean, that could have been kind of cool.
Right. It could have been cool, but I'm with you. Without a solid Fantastic Four
Yeah,
like movie and cast, who cares?
it's the reason why the MCU
Who cares?
is as rock solid as it is, right? Because
Yeah.
they built Iron Man, they built Thor, they built Captain America before they did an Avengers movie, before they had a team
Right.
up.
Yep.
And they built up all these other characters, the Guardians, Black Panther, before they ever got to like, you know, Endgame and Infinity War. Like you got to set the table first before you eat. You can't eat before you set the table. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Agree.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Um, I've got one little nugget here. Two huge blockbuster movies dropped on Christmas Day.
Yep.
One of them on HBO Max and in the theaters? Question mark. I don't actually know. Probably.
Hmm.
And then one on Disney Plus and in the theaters? Question mark. I don't think in the theaters for this one, but I don't know. Long story short, Soul and Wonder Woman dropped.
Yeah.
And the only real data that we have to compare how kind of important they were or how much of an impact they made on the market at large is by app downloads. Now, keep in mind, HBO
Right.
Max is only available in the States right now.
Sure.
So these numbers will be obviously skewed. However, there were 2.3 million global installs over the
Of
Christmas
of
holiday
HBO Max
For Disney Plus.
for Disney Plus.
And then for HBO Max, they had 554,000 from December
Ooh.
25th to December 27th.
So wait, okay, so 550,000 and change for HBO Max.
Yep.
You said 2.3
million
for Disney Plus. Like five
Yeah.
times more people downloaded Disney Plus and signed up
Yeah.
for Disney Plus in like the end of December than they did for HBO Max.
Yeah.
I thought that number would have been I thought that number probably would have been different, like maybe almost completely the other way, because I would have thought,
More people already had.
more people already had Disney,
Uh-huh.
so therefore, that number would be lower.
And then I remembered reading this article and then totally forgot. But yeah, they were both obviously released in theaters. Soul earned 7.6 million and Wonder Woman earned 16.7 million in their respective opening weekends.
Okay.
So, and then HBO Max went on to say that nearly half of the subscribers of HBO Max watched Wonder Woman 1984 on the release date.
Okay.
So we're getting into some behavioral stuff, and this is where it gets really interesting, where data analytics and trying to get into the mind of consumers comes into play, because you're kind of in unprecedented territory as it pertains to like blockbuster releases. And I know Netflix has a lot of data, but they don't drop. I mean, they're getting into movies, but they don't drop a lot of blockbuster movies with like the big names, the big studios. They're shows, right? They can look and say Stranger Things, we've got this many, and they watch this many minutes, but that's an 8-episode season at 45 minutes a pop. This is totally different. So all of these different companies are getting all of this data, and I mean, we're going to see a seismic shift in the way that we consume media. It's just the way it's going to be.
I agree.
And HBO Max is all in on it, and I don't know that anyone else is there yet. But it's going to be really interesting to see how things go. And I know we talked about this already, but for HBO Max with all their releases, I think it's going to go well for HBO Max. I think this is
I think in the long run,
it's a pretty good investment, because I don't think people definitely know that HBO Max is kind of good. And again, we've crapped on it so much, but like I hopped on HBO Max and I counted all the things that are in my list now. There's 31 movies and or TV shows
Yep.
on my list of movies or shows that I want to watch. And I've probably seen 3 of them already. The rest of them are all
Mm.
new to me. Movies I've never seen.
So we signed up. Well, I got a free 30 days of HBO
So did I.
Max,
Yeah.
and I think I turned it on like the 23rd of December, and we didn't end up watching Wonder Woman 1984 just because of family stuff till New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing I've watched on HBO Max, and there's a lot of stuff on there, and I'm like, yeah, but I realized that either I'm gonna have to roll over and start paying for it in order to get to some of that stuff, or I'm gonna think that, like, I might drop it and then come back and that sort of thing. I mean, it's just the way it is. But what's interesting though, like going back, Matt, like you said how like Wonder Woman did you said something like 16 million and
Yeah.
Soul did like 8 million, and I was like, well, Wonder Woman had a pretty good showing, but here's the thing. Only 550,000 people got HBO Max in that same time, whereas like almost 2.5 million people got Disney Plus. And from a previous podcast, we talked about the fact that Disney Plus at that time had like 86 million subscribers. Right. So like, yeah, I get that like Soul made half the money that Wonder Woman did, but I'm going to guarantee that probably more people by far saw Soul on Christmas Day than Wonder Woman 84. Like by a huge margin. Like it won't margin. Even be close.
No, it's a massive margin. And honestly, look, I think to your credit to what you talked about in the last Rebel Intelligence, I think that the reviews played into that. At the end of the day, I looked at the reviews and I said, wow, Wonder Woman 1984 isn't that good. I'd rather watch Soul tonight.
Yep.
And so I think there were a lot of that. And then you have to remember when you're talking about this, there's at least a 7-day trial that's free for HBO Max. And you know that at least a portion, I would say a majority of those people got it for free.
Yeah.
No such for Disney Plus.
Nope.
Disney Plus, they are paying. That's 2.3 million people paying $7.
Yep. Or $8, right? Because didn't it go up, or it's going to go up?
It goes up in March, but international markets too, it's more expensive than it is here. And so, anyway, long story short, that's what you get. So
okay, all right. Here's the last thing I have, Matt. And this is something I kind of found interesting. So, Google every year releases an annual list of like global trending searches, right? And it's kind of this way to kind of like go back and like look at the year that was and see like, here's the things that happened, or here's the things that people were searching for. And I want to tell you, in a pandemic year, some of the things that were the most searched this year. Okay. So they had like the biggest spike, the biggest increase, and some of the top searches: Chadwick Boseman, which I mean, that's understandable, right? With his passing. Among Us, which was a huge community, kind of game, which of course like my boys are obsessed with now, and Tiger King. And I was like, Tiger King, like going like all the way back to like the beginning of like the pandemic and the lockdown. But Tiger King was one of the top searched terms. Now, Google did say like this year is like this list, I mean, is kind of based on like year over year searches. So they see like spikes. So like no one was searching Chadwick Boseman, Among Us, or Tiger King in great numbers in 2019, and then all of a sudden there was these huge seismic spikes that jumped up in 2020. So that helps propel them to the front. But they said that gaming, though, saw a big increase in 2020, and probably has a lot to do with a lot of the shelter in place and the quarantines. We know that there was like record spending in the gaming industry, but globally, for some of the trending games, Google said that Among Us, obviously, like I just said, Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, were both really really high on the list, and then it was like Valorant, Genshin Impact, and The Last of Us Part Two, which I kind of thought was like really interesting because obviously all the things we talked about The Last of Us Part Two with all the leaks and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
But Valorant and Genshin Impact, got way up there. But of course, like Fall Guys was way up there, and the reason obviously is because it wasn't like I think even the developer didn't think it was going to go as big as it did, but it was this huge success and it was given away for free on PlayStation Plus when it launched in August, and a lot of people got it and a lot of people were playing it. And so like it just like it hit at the right time. Same thing with like Among Us. Like Among Us was huge. I mean, Among Us is a game that's like 2 years old, but like it got huge. Like it got so big that even like politicians, like the U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, like she jumped on and played it on Twitch in front of like an audience of like 430,000 people. Like it just people needed stuff to do.
Crazy.
Like just crazy. Uh Obviously, um when it came to like Netflix, like the stuff that was like search for Netflix, Tiger King, like we said, Cobra Kai jumped way up there because obviously Netflix got Cobra Kai. Money Heist and Umbrella Academy were the big search terms over there. And then, of course, movie stuff, MCU stuff, it was all Chadwick Boseman and Black Panther. So
Right. Right.
some really interesting things. Like I don't necessarily always take a look at what was like the big trending things on Google, but like because 2020 was such a weird year, I really wanted to take a look, and I was really kind of surprised by some of the things that were trending that had these big spikes this year. And gotta say, man, like that old Tiger King, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, man.
It really
Season
is.
2, Behind
Se-
Bars.
Season 2.
Just you wait.
Behind bars. Oh, I would pay money for a second season of Tiger King.
I would pay the premier access that Disney wanted me to pay for Mulan. I would pay for access to Tiger King too.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's the last thing in Rebel Intelligence I had. Matt, do you have anything else?
I actually do.
Ooh, surprise.
We had a drop today, a TV spot for WandaVision.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of information and then some context to that information. So I'm just gonna basically dive into
hit
the
me.
nitty-gritty of it.
Hit me.
So we know the only thing we know about WandaVision is that it's going to mimic the format of classic sitcoms.
Right.
And we
Okay.
know that it's going to take on sitcoms from different decades. It's like old school and then like 70s and then like your kind of what we think is like the classic, like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And what do all of these have in common? A
They're-
theme song, a catchy theme song that you hear every week on TGIF.
Ooh.
So we now know that the series will have at least one theme song for the episodes.
Like
And the music has been written by Frozen songwriters Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez.
the people that
And
did
they have-
the Let It Go, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
they are not just doing the like theme song that you hear in the TV spot that I assume will be playing at the beginning or in part of one or two or three or maybe all of the episodes. They also have been credited as doing several musical tracks throughout the
Ooh.
season. So we're going to get that classic musical vibe at the beginnings of the episode, perhaps even more often. Now, if that wasn't enough goodness for you,
Wait,
also
there's
got
more.
yeah, there's more. We also got confirmation that WandaVision will be 9 episodes long.
Ooh, okay.
So that means, and they have looked at this as well and confirmed this, that it is going to lead directly into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, not story wise, but timing in our world.
Oh,
There
so
won't even be a
no
week
break.
It will go straight from WandaVision right into Captain or whatever, Winter Soldier, Falcon,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
beat him
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
the
yeah.
one I care least about for the year. And hopefully right into Loki. I mean, I don't know how but some pretty cool stuff. I must say, I'm pretty excited for WandaVision. I tried to figure out how long the episodes are expected to be. I'm a little bit concerned that they will follow the sitcom format so closely that it will kind
Be
of
like
be
half
the
hour
classic,
episodes.
yeah, like half-hour episodes, a classic 3-act, A setup, B is kind of the plot, and C is the wrap up. But we'll see.
I didn't hear any of this, so this is all new to me. Like I didn't see this today, just because
I'm here for you.
I'm glad you are. I'm gonna go back to the question about the music. Are they gonna have like a different catchy tune
I
for
hope so.
each episode, or is it gonna be like one catchy tune per like? I have a feeling like they're gonna
Era.
shift eras. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
That's what I expect.
That's that what you expect? Okay. Interesting.
That's what makes the most sense because the first song, so in the TV spot, it gives you a little glimpse, just like a little nugget of the theme song for like the 50s version, and you're like, that's classic 50s. That won't work when you're doing the 80s and 90s though. Like
yeah. It's not gonna
that
feel
won't
right.
work. You need like a step-by-step Full House kind of a feel. It doesn't have like horns in it. Like I feel like in the 80s and 90s you had to have horns somewhere in your
Okay. Would
song.
not the beginning opening line to Full House be perfect? Whatever happened to predictability? I mean, because that whole show looks like it's like everything's unpredictable. I'm just anyway.
I know it.
Kevin Feige, buddy, I know we're friends. Call me up. Let's talk. I'll help you out. Okay. I'm just saying. Well, good, Matt. That's I'm excited. And we've only got like what, like another like
a
week and a half.
When this releases?
Yeah, a week and a half from now. A week from when this releases.
It's exciting, man. I can't freaking wait now.
Oh gosh, I've got to finish How I Met Your Mother so we can power through Cobra Kai.
Yep.
Before WandaVision starts.
Yes.
It's gonna be a busy month, Matt. Busy month.
I like it though.
Okay, so that was the last thing you had?
Yep.
Awesome. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, Matt, let's jump over into the question of the week for last week. So last week we did our 2020 wrap up and our little bit of our preview for 2021, and we asked the Super Friends what are they looking forward to in 2021, and we've got some answers. So we're going to start over on our email like we always do, fortofnerd@gmail.com, and we have an email from Peter Christensen. He says, Dear Nerds, I'm writing this during my lunch break, now that Christmas break is over and I'm back to work. I spent the break relaxing, spending time with my family, and watching a lot of TV and movies. My wife wanted to watch the Saved by the Bell reboot, and she dragged us all kicking and screaming into to the TV, which, by the way, I think that's on HBO Max, I think. Or maybe that's the reunion.
That's on Peacock.
Sorry, the reunion might be on HBO Max. Anyway, he says, by the end of the first episode, we were all hooked. It uses the setting and a few familiar faces to set up what is a great modern high school show. Unlike Cobra Kai, it's primarily about the students, and it's very, very well made. A prime example of how entertainment storytelling is improving everywhere, and it's lifting all boats. As we know, a rising tide lifts all boats. That was me. That wasn't Peter. I'm just interjecting. He says, speaking of Cobra Kai, we watched the entire season in one day when it was released on New Year's. It's everything you want from Cobra Kai, but it wasn't as shockingly fresh as the previous seasons. If you liked Cobra Kai so far, you'll love Season 3, and there's a very yummy cameo near the end of the season. this show really demonstrates the value of Netflix. Barely anyone knew about it when it was on YouTube Red, and now it's a cultural phenomenon. And I'll take a second here to break from his email. I do completely understand what he's saying. Like, we knew about it and we talked about it here on the podcast. I watched it from the stuff when it was like a YouTube Red, but it has definitely gotten legs under it due to being put on Netflix. I mean, there's just no denying that.
A massive boost. Look,
Massive.
You talked about it. I
Yep.
didn't watch it.
It's true.
I'm not going to do YouTube Red. I'm not going to pay for that.
Pay.
And now, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now magically we've watched it and we are like massive fans.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, getting on and off of Netflix in particular is a big deal. The
Yep.
Office left Netflix this week. That's a huge, massive
Yes.
deal for a lot of people.
When
Doesn't matter.
Friends left, everyone was like, "Oh no," and I was like, "Eh." The Office left.
Right.
I'm like, because
Right.
I know I'm not gonna be watching Friends anytime soon because there's a lot of stuff I need to watch. But
Sure.
that is one that I do like to go back to because it's near the top of my list for comedies.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm gonna have to go over to Peacock to watch it.
Right. Yep.
So
or buy it for $30 right now on iTunes.
Or-
That's what we did.
and
We did that like 8 months ago. But...
and I may have to do that. Peter goes on to say, my wife and I started rewatching a show called Almost Human, a future tech and crime dystopia show from 2014, starring my man Carl Urban. It's free on Prime and only got one season, holds up extremely well, and although it didn't get a foothold on network TV, it would have been a huge hit if it was released on Netflix today, similar to Altered Carbon. Definitely worth a watch if you like future sci-fi shows like Minority Report. A couple thoughts on your 2020 list. Tenet. This poor movie was the equivalent of the mom and pop businesses staying open during the coronavirus because they don't have the deep pockets of Target and Walmart. Yes, I know it's ridiculous to compare a movie with a 9-figure budget to a mom and pop, but bear with me. Disney and its properties will be releasing new movies until the heat or the heat death of the universe. But Christopher Nolan only has so many movies in him. The release of Tenet showed a different approach to risk management during the pandemic, and although they badly lost that bet, if the pandemic had subsided and people were more comfortable going out, Tenet would have had the big budget box office all to itself. Some theaters were forced to show it, and some were hoping it would be the big event movie that brought people back to theaters. Regardless of the circumstances of its release, I think it'll be a cult classic, at least among the kind of people that like Nolan movies. For the simple man, I recommend tuning out a little and enjoying the punches, crashes, and exotic destinations. Console releases. I have no dog in this fight, but I did enjoy pics people posted where they took their PS5 and recreated the joyful pics of them receiving a PS2 as kids. My best of 2020 and most anticipated of 2021 are the same: home video content. The pandemic compressed 10 years of gradual progress into one frantic year. The home TV situation now and on deck for 2021 is like living in the future. Cheers, Peter Christensen. And you know what? I gotta say, I agree with Peter. Like, talking about the whole idea of like the home TV content, because we had if you remember, like, I want to say end of 2018 or maybe like early 2019, before it became a pandemic, a global pandemic, before there was lockdowns. You and I had a whole episode where we kind of talked about the idea of releasing content directly to video on demand. And maybe it was right when it started. And
I think it
Onward.
was Onward.
Yeah, when Onward. Okay, so maybe like right at the beginning of the lockdowns.
Yeah.
In March, when Onward went straight, they were saying like, "Hey, look, we're pulling it from theaters. It's going to go straight to Disney Plus." And we had this whole conversation, and we had this like layout of like, you know, what you thought, what I thought. I remember Peter responded, like, we talked about like how many years down the road we thought it would be before we actually saw like big budget movies coming to home streaming services, if they even would, or if it's gonna. And like, here it is at the end of the year. Disney Pixar released a massive movie. Warner Brothers released a massive movie that went straight to services. We had other ones like, it is pretty crazy that like what we thought was maybe a 5 to 10 year time frame
Right.
happened in less than a year.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once the pandemic does die down toward the middle of the year and it's kind of hopefully run its
Hopefully.
course. And
Fingers
we've
crossed.
all
Fingers
been
crossed.
vaccinated and
Yep.
everything's back to some semblance of normal. Interesting
Right.
to see how long it takes for movie theaters to come back, because I think we're all just so used to not going to movie theaters. I never think about movie theaters. I never think of how excited I am to go back to a movie theater. I just don't care. But I know that I'm just one person with my own experiences. Now, I will say something that Peter mentioned, which is the Saved by the Bell show,
Yeah.
which we turned off because it's so bad.
Really?
I'm not trying to, fire shots at Peter here, but it's one of the worst TV shows I've ever seen. Like,
Ooh.
I couldn't watch it. It was like the acting was so bad, the script was terrible, and I know he's going to come at me next week, and I'm okay with that. Come at me and tell me that it gets better, because I think it was Peter that I told to stick through on New Girl. And so if he comes through and he says, "Matt, you really got to push through," then I will. Or if he just says, "No, Matt, that's actually this show. It's just this campy, like, rehash of Saved by the Bell," then I'll know it's not for me. But
Okay.
anyway, that's my hot take. It's hot
Okay.
garbage. But that's just my hot take.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can't argue either way because I haven't
Prove me
watched
wrong,
it.
Peter. Prove me wrong. Because I'm not going to turn that show on to prove. Even Jesse was like, "Matt, I don't know why." Yes, let's please turn it off.
Okay. Let's go over to Twitter at Fortive Nerd. We've got Side Hustle Ninja at dspin67. He says what he's looking forward to in 2021: growing my t-shirt/hoodie business, getting married later this year. Hey, congrats! Being able to travel safely and losing more weight.
Wow. Good things happening.
Yeah, that's like some seriously good life goals. Yes. Cheers to you. El Maiko at Gizpika says, excited for the Suicide Squad movie because the world always needs more Harley Quinn, especially coming off the best movie from 2020. Excited to try and book another trip to Disney. Now, I gotta say, Gizpika, he also is on Twitch by another name. And his wife is a school teacher. They're friends. They're friends, super friends of the podcast. They come and they hang out on the Twitch channel quite a bit. Here's the thing: they went to Disney World for the first time, their first ever Disney trip ever, and I was so excited for them. And they sent me a Christmas card, and their Christmas card was nothing but photos of them at Disney World. It was so cool to see. I was so excited. So the fact that they had such a good time, and that obviously the Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn, but that they also want to try to get back to Disney again, I really like that. I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
Bernabe Butters at Dantes_Belmont says, inner peace. He's looking forward to inner peace in 2021.
I like it. A little deeper there.
And then Tim Paulin at TPaulin20 said he was looking forward to WandaVision.
Oh, good. Well, you get it right off the bat, man. Not a lot of waiting.
Just right around the corner. Super friends, thank you so much for answering the question of the week. We appreciate that. Like I said, we've got a lot of things we're looking forward to in 2021. We've got some life goals, some real things. We've got a bunch of nerdy pop culture things we're looking forward to, but I'm also looking forward to reading your answers every week. That's something I'm looking forward to every week, Matt. Super friends, Matt, they're out there. They're helping us every week. They're showing up. They're showing up for the live recording on Twitch. They're out there on the streets. They're banging the drum. They're talking about the Fortress of Nerditude. They're out there preaching the gospel of nerd and pop culture. How can they help us this week?
Mm. In addition to all that you do every week, as just mentioned, we appreciate all of that. The little something extra you can do, a little something,
Little something something.
a little something, something is, let's see, let me know in your writing this week to us if you are more Cobra Kai or more Miyagi Do. I am curious as to your
Oh,
answers.
wow.
And I'm talking philosophy. Are you more?
I know
And
what you're
then I'm
saying.
not. So you can't say, "Oh, I'm a little bit of Miyagi Do on this, a little bit of Kai on
A little
this." I
bit of
mean, if you
country, a little bit
had,
of rock and roll, Matt.
which one are you more of?
Okay.
Are you more Miyagi Do or are you more Cobra Kai? Which dojo?
Which dojo indeed? Remind me later, because I want to make sure that when I put out the question of the week call, because the question of the week will be something different, obviously.
Yes.
But remind me though, because I want to make sure I put that out there, because I'd like to see if we can get a good response on Miyagi Do or Cobra
Yeah.
Kai. Which dojo, which philosophy do you subscribe to?
Yes, and we're talking. Yeah, it's a hard thing because you have to. We'll have to define it if we're talking like John Kreese or if we're talking like Johnny version.
Well, define it right now then, because I think that's
I
important.
think strike first, strike hard, no mercy. That's it. We'll leave it at the motto.
Okay.
We'll say kind of what the heart of Cobra Kai is.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I may not even ask a question of the week. I like that one so much. Oh, well, good. So, Matt, here's the thing. For tonight's discussion, I did a little crowdsourcing. So
Oh, good.
I went out and I asked some of the super friends that are also streamers.
Oh,
I asked a few people. I said, "Hey, toss me these ideas. I need you to tell me some superpowers." And
okay.
they came through. So I've got a list of superpowers. This is courtesy of from at RMK Buried Alive, at Super Murgatroyd, and at Will's Toy Clearance. So these three streamer extraordinaires came up with some ideas. And so here's the thing, Matt. You and
All
I
right.
are going to play a little game called Would You Rather, but it's going to be Superpower Edition.
I like it. I
So
like it.
I've
And to
got,
everyone out there listening, usually we have a discussion as to what we're going to
yep.
do and talk about, and it's more fleshed out. Tonight, I am blind completely, and I think Spencer is semi-blind as
I mean,
well.
I literally got these like 14 superpowers maybe 10 minutes before we went
Okay.
live.
So we're talking, this is shooting from the hip, y'all. No prep,
Complete.
first guess, best guess. Let's roll.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to like mark these a little bit so like I
Mm.
know we've so like I don't
Yeah.
mix them up and be like, oh, we've done this one or we haven't done this
Okay.
one. So I'm just gonna take two from the list and pair them up, and then we'll talk about why you would want one versus the other. So the first two, flight versus invisibility. Matt, which one are you
Okay.
gonna take, flight or invisibility?
Oh my gosh. Which one would I rather
Yeah,
have?
which one would you rather
Flight
have?
or invisibility? I'm going with flight.
Why?
Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm doing this twofold. What does every good superhero have to do? And they become super because of this. They conquer a fear.
Okay.
I am afraid of heights. I will be the first to
Okay.
say it. I'm afraid of heights. And if my superpower were to fly, it would force me, enable me
Maybe.
to overcome that fear, which would make me more super.
What if you fly like
Therefore,
six inches off the ground?
still a height. I'm telling you right now, that's still a height.
Uh,
Um, and then of course the obvious ability to go anywhere and have it not cost me a dime. That's good. Now there's no speed right? It's not like flight, but you can only fly 20 miles an hour. I don't know what the
No,
speed
yeah,
is.
no. Yeah, we won't
No
get that
wing
crazy.
flapping,
Yeah.
not that insane. I'm going to say flight for that ability to transport myself quickly to places. We live far away from family. It would be nice to just fly to Utah and see y'all and fly home.
I mean, being, I mean, I get what you're saying. Being as big as of a Superman fan as I am, like flight is very, very appealing. But then again, I also think like invisibility, because I'm gonna assume like right, we have the ability to turn it on or off, use it
Right.
to our discretion, right? Not like I'm just invisible all the time and no one can ever see me.
That
Um,
would suck.
but like I work with some very wonderful people, and there's a lady I work with that she's a sweetheart. But every time I walk past her and she sees me, she flags me down
Mm.
every single time, and I don't have
Mhm.
time to stop. And so, like, flight is good, but like, I can still get around. I can still drive cars. I can still get on an airplane, but like,
You can.
I can still travel, and I get that maybe it wouldn't be as freeing, but like the the ability to become invisible at times could be very, very useful. And I think invisibility is the one I'd rather take in that scenario, because I could just, hey, I need to sneak past someone, or I don't want my kids seeing the fact that I'm like eating some junk food that I shouldn't be, like, and I'm standing in the closet, because if they see me, they're gonna call me out on it. That we want that too, Dad. No. I just go invisible and I can sit there and eat, well, I don't know, the Pop Tart or whatever, and the kids can't see me doing that. Like, I'm gonna take invisibility.
Look, invisibility is fantastic, and I don't think you can go wrong with these superpowers.
No.
Invisibility is amazing, and I might choose that too. I don't actually know. We're shooting from the hip.
Right. Okay. I like it. All right, here's the next two: super hearing and teleportation.
Now, teleportation. This is super easy. Teleportation, absolutely 100%, without a doubt. Super hearing, look, God made ears the way they're supposed to be. I don't need to be hearing anything that's far away. Look, I've seen Pierce Hawthorne from Community with those ear
The
binoculars,
ear
seeing things
knoculars.
that are just unnatural for the
Yeah,
human ear,
yeah.
and I saw where that got him.
Yep.
Not interested.
I
Not interested.
I'm completely with you here. Like teleporting, like flying's great, but teleporting, like to be able to, I don't know, blink your eyes or mentally give yourself a
That's better
command.
than flying.
It's better than flying, to be able just to go poop poop, and
Yeah, way
you've
better.
traveled from like here to Rome, or
Yeah.
to the moon and back, whatever. Like
Yes, yes.
teleportation I would take hands down,
It might be the best superpower.
cuz
I'm going to call it out right now.
here's the thing. Super hearing I think is a good superpower if it's like a secondary superpower.
Yeah, if
Like,
you're like a news reporter, it's great, I guess.
right, like, okay, like, so Superman, right? Superman could, super hearing or whatever. Like, but
Right.
if you had to choose between one or the other,
Yeah.
like,
Easy.
um, I don't need to hear everyone like chewing their food, like
Mhm.
crunching on chips and stuff, 3 blocks away.
Sure.
I don't need to know the like, hey, my wife is, grumbling under her breath because I didn't take the trash out.
Right.
I don't maybe necessarily want to hear those
No,
words.
you don't.
She's grumbling under her breath, and I think that could like that could affect some relationships.
Yep.
Teleportation, and I'm also going to assume, Matt, with the ability to teleport, like if you were hugging someone or touching someone, they could be teleported with you. Um,
Sure.
that would make me going to Disney World with my family so much better, because
And free.
I wouldn't have to pay for them dang flights. It would just be like, hey,
Or
and
tickets.
we're down here. Well, I mean, I don't know that I was looking to like, to do it
Oh
that
man,
way.
you kidding me? I'm teleporting to the top of Splash Mountain in a log. I don't know what you're talking about.
See, I wasn't looking at I wasn't
Oh,
looking at
the illegal
all the
aspects and the
illegal
moral
yeah,
ramifications.
yeah.
I'm all over that.
Okay. All right. Uh, okay, okay. The next set, the ability to regenerate or super speed.
Super speed for sure. I hope I never ever have to regenerate.
Hmm.
It's now by regeneration, we're talking like regrowing limbs.
I mean, it could be that. It could be hair on the top of your head. I mean,
Okay, okay,
some of us might
okay.
want regeneration.
Fair enough. I'm definitely going to stick with super speed. That would be amazing. And you could probably tone it back like Dash does in The Incredibles, where it looks like you're gonna lose the race and or like not win by that much. You could make
Yeah.
so much money. Again, the moral implications, I don't really care because
See,
I'm a superhero and I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna be fast.
here's what I'm thinking. Like with the power to regenerate, like body parts, cells, whatever, like couldn't you then maybe use that to keep yourself like not eternally young, but like you could really slow things
Really
down?
heal yourself a little more
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah. That's I mean maybe that's one thing like heal yourself because like think about it. Like in that case, like I'm 75 years old, I fall down and I break a hip. I can just immediately
Right.
regenerate it. Like I'm not at risk of like going into a hospital and like getting an
Mm-hmm.
infection and picking something up and then like being done.
Okay.
So like I I,
Yeah.
I actually like regenerate more than speed. Like
It depends on what the definition of is regenerate. If it means like you're Wolverine and you can heal yourself, that is
that's
very different.
I mean that's really his power is regeneration. I mean,
So if it's yeah, regenerating cells,
yeah.
if you can heal yourself, then I think regeneration is better. But if it's just like regenerating your limbs, like
Well, like we said, we're shooting from the hip here, so I'm going with regenerate because I'm going to go with the Wolverine
okay, if it's
because you said
Wolverine,
Wolverine now, so now
I
I'm thinking
am
like Wolverine.
on.
Of course, like I'm not going to be able to have adamantium claws. That's a whole nother thing.
I don't want those. I just want the healing stuff. Give me that
Okay,
power.
no. Wait a minute. You wouldn't want adamantium claws?
No, I get
What?
I don't want to accidentally hurt somebody that I love.
But you can control that.
Kind of. When he gets angry,
Well,
it's almost Hulk-esque.
he's got other issues there with rage and being able to control that. Do you?
Well, we all
I'm
have a
just
little
okay.
darkness.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't get angry, but when I do, I get angry like anybody
Snick,
else gets
snick,
angry.
snick. Yeah. No, I'm going regenerate. I'm hardcore going regenerate now. You want to stick with your super speed? Or are you on board with the
No, if I can
regen?
heal myself, if I'm Wolverine with claws, no, I'm going to regenerate.
Okay. Let's go here. Control electricity and camouflage. So like you can camouflage, like you could like make yourself like camouflage, blend in, and like you're not
I'm a
invisible,
chameleon.
but you're like a chameleon, yes. Or the ability to control electricity.
Camouflage is almost invisibility.
Almost, but not quite.
If you want, if you can do it quickly, if you're like Mystique. Camouflage or what was the other one again?
Control electricity.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking
I'm trying to
like
think what the advantages of controlling electricity would be.
I know.
I don't know what the
See,
advantages.
I wouldn't.
Again, I can make more money being able to control electricity. But
Become your own power company.
it's my oh yeah, it's my entrepreneurial spirit that comes into play when I think about boy, controlling electricity. I can make someone's power go out and then make them call me and I can get it back working because I can control electricity. I think camouflage.
Why camouflage?
Hide from people, hide from enemies, like go to church and like not have to talk to anybody.
Hmm.
That sounds ideal without being invisible. I don't know, because that's basically kind of visibility, and I already chose something. Anyway, I think camouflage is better because I don't even know what I would do with control electricity. If I'm like a Sith Lord and I can lightning stuff, then that might be a really cool power.
Okay.
But it depends on what electricity means. Like if I have to be like manipulating electricity with my mind as it exists, not that cool. But if I can shoot it out of my body, very cool. And I pick that. But I don't know.
That's a tough one because you bring up really good points. Like, I like the idea of controlling electricity, but I don't know what I would do with it a lot. Like sitting at work, like being on the keyboard, like, okay, the power goes out, and so like I keep powering things. Like
Yeah,
that does
save the day.
yeah, that hey, look, I'm a human battery. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
sound super cool.
Right.
But if you're like, hey, I can like, pull power off from like, any power source, and I could like convert it into something, or
Yeah.
shoot electricity, like convert it into some sort of energy, and like, I don't know, throw big plasma electricity bombs or something.
Right.
I don't know, like, what that, I mean, yeah, maybe. Camouflage one, like, I could see like some uses similar to invisibility, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just I don't know. I feel like these
It's
are
a crappy invisibility.
yeah. So I'm
That's what
like,
it is.
I think maybe I'm gonna take control electricity here, but I kind of feel like it's a coin flip. Like either one
Yes.
could be.
Either one could be cool, and you could find uses for both of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm with you. Coin flip.
Okay. I'm gonna make this. Let's see. I'm gonna make this one a hard one here, Matt.
Oh no.
Invincibility or time travel.
Oh man, that is a hard one.
Invincibility or time travel. Okay, why time travel?
Okay, well, I can almost argue like why not invincibility? Because there's very few times in my life where I've ever thought I wish I weren't invincible right now.
Mm.
Now if I were to be, here's the situation. I'm thinking about me being Matt Shaw, like
Okay.
hang out at my house all day.
Sure.
I'm not thinking that I'm a superhero. If I'm a superhero,
You're a
invincibility.
superhero, Matt. You're a superhero. You get one ability, time travel or invincibility. What are you choosing? Which
I
would you
still
rather
choose
have?
time travel because time travel is awesome. It's, man, going back in time and being able to meet and see like people from the past, ancestors of your own, or important historical figures. So cool. Or go into the future and see like what it's going to be like. A heavy burden, but super awesome and super helpful, as we have learned from Infinity War. The ability to time travel
Yep.
is, or not Infinity War, what's the last one? Endgame.
Endgame.
Is very important and can save the world. Invincibility is cool and amazing, and you never die, and like that's awesome. So like they both are awesome, but for my own personal enjoyment, I'm going time travel.
Okay, so this one for me is pretty easy, but I'm gonna put a big caveat here. Time travel, like super friends. If you've listened to this podcast over the 4 years, you know how much I love time travel stories and time travel ideas, and like when some movie or TV show comes out and all of a sudden like time travel becomes like an element of it,
Yeah.
like I just fanboy out about that. I just really dig it. So I think that time travel is exactly what I would want as well, Matt, because if I'm a superhero, like I could go back and I could fix things that were wrong and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But the caveat is that I know that I'm gonna screw, because like I don't have other powers. It's just the ability to time travel. So what's the likelihood that I'm gonna screw things up and scramble the future in a way that like makes things worse? I have a feeling that would happen. Like I really know that probably would happen, because I'm like, well, let me go back and let me save the TV show Firefly from being canceled. But by doing that, Joss Whedon writes that for a whole bunch of time, so then he's not available to do the first Avengers movie, and then the first Avengers movie is done by, I don't know, Tim Burton, and it sucks because
That sounds amazing.
Tim Burton is not good for superhero ensemble
No.
casts, and it would not be good, and then the whole MCU falls apart, and we have no MCU, all because I wanted to say Firefly. Like, I just like it's like the butterfly effect, right? Like, that's why, like, I love time travel, but I think I would probably be a poor custodian of time travel.
Psh,
But if I still
who
have to choose
cares?
between that and invincibility, like, you know, being invincible would be cool, like being like completely indestructible. But like, you really would like, it would be really too easy to become a super villain with that ability, with that superpower.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could protect everyone and stand in front of moving trains so that they don't hit little old ladies and stuff like that. And I don't know, but
Time travel's cool.
time travel's
I'm
cool.
with you.
Time travel's so cool. Okay, let's see here. We've got the ability to be really stretchy, like be able to stretch your body. Kind of think of like, Mr. Fantastic, or the ability to learn things instantly. Really stretchy or learn things instantly.
Really stretchy or learn things.
Yeah, which one would you rather have? Which superpower?
Ooh, gosh. Hmm. Really stretchy, because I don't want to be a pretentious D-bag. And I feel like all the smart people are like that. And they don't end up having friends. And they have a really sad life.
Wow.
So I'm not going to choose that one.
Wow.
Look, being stretchy like Stretch Armstrong or
Mr.
like
Fantastic.
Or Elastigirl.
Elastigirl, yep.
Like, if you could, like, because you can do cool stuff. Like, she like makes herself into like an umbrella of sorts or a parachute to save her children, and she like can like manipulate her body into cool shapes and like do fun stuff like that. Like, that's cool. I'm in on that. And I'm out on learning things quickly. Everything comes too easy. I don't know. As cool as I think that would be, I feel like it would turn me into a jerk and prideful because I didn't ever have to work to learn anything. It just came to me and I didn't ever have to do anything for it. I don't know.
See, I'm on the opposite side here. I would want to be able to like learn things instantly, because like I'm thinking like right now, like this is my head, right? Because like we're just doing this, shooting from the hip.
Yes.
I'm thinking of like Neo from the Matrix, right? Like all of a sudden he's in this thing and they're like, bzz, kung fu. And he's like, I know kung fu, and like he immediately like knows it because it was like downloaded into him. Like the ability to like not just okay. And this is once again, this is me as Spencer thinking about like Spencer's life. Like, I'm not a car mechanic. Like, I can't really wrench on my car. I just don't know. Like, that's just not in my wheelhouse. But to all of a sudden be like, I need to go fix an engine. And then to immediately download that ability and instantly learn it. And then I could go do that. Like, I could see that being very, very helpful. And I think like that more than like I don't want to get out of my chair, so I'm just going to stretch my arm really long and pull the drink back to me. Like, that's like, I don't know.
That's amazing. That's every man's dream. You don't know what you're talking about. That's why we have children, so we can tell them to get our food and drink, and now we don't have to.
Go get me that remote over there, son. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, I definitely see advantages, but I just think like, hey, I don't know how to ballroom dance, and my wife wants to ballroom dance for some reason. Like, I don't want to go take lessons. I don't want to go take the time and spend like 8 weeks learning how to ballroom dance and standing there acting like a fool and looking goofy. But if I could instantly download it and then just like dance with my wife for one dance and sweep her off her feet, and she's like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I mean,
look, I'm with you. The better power is to learn things.
You're just afraid of what it's going to do to you.
Choosing is stretchy.
I love it.
This isn't a better power. This is which power I would have.
I love it.
And I'm afraid of what that would turn me into if I could learn things like that.
Okay. All right. Here's the last one that I've got.
Okay.
Telepathy or shape shifting. So the like the stretchy one was
better than stretchy.
You could stretch parts of your body, but this is like you want to look like a dog.
Like
you can make a dog.
Time. That his dog. Forget the dog's name. It's basically a shapeshifter.
So shape shifting or telepathy. Which one would you rather have? Which superpower?
Shape shifting. I just think it's just on like a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. The ability to change yourself into any shape, to protect yourself, to get tasks completed. I just feel like shape shifting is a more useful superpower. Telepathy, while cool, still I don't like knowing and thinking and hearing things that aren't meant for me to hear and to know.
I'm going to take the opposite. Even though earlier I said I don't want to have the super hearing.
Yeah.
Matt, you're a married man. I'm a married man.
I don't want to know what you're thinking.
But how many times have you said, like, why doesn't she just understand what I'm thinking or, like, where I'm coming from? Like, if you had the ability to, like, read her mind and understand, like, what the disconnect is when you're having a fight and, like, you're disagreeing on something and, like, you're saying one thing, she's saying another thing, and, like, they're not meeting up, to be like, oh, what she needs to hear from me is I need to explain it this way, and then she would understand. Like, think of all the fights you could short circuit and avoid if you had telepathy. On top of the fact that, like, you could like right now, your son Lando doesn't have necessarily all the ability to communicate with you as effectively as he could. All of a sudden you're like, man, why is he like whining and crying? Oh, use your telepathy and you're like, oh, he doesn't like beets or whatever. And like, you just know that, like, I mean, I'm gonna make something up. I doubt you're feeding him beets.
My kid beets.
Beets, Bears, Battlestar Galactica. I think telepathy. Man, I think telepathy would be amazing. I just really think it'd be amazing. Yes, you could get in trouble. Yes, you could find ways to get in trouble with it.
I always can. I could find good ways. I mean,
with any of these. Yes. Ah, man, I would take telepathy over the ability to shapeshift. Like, shape shifting would be cool, and I like that, but how am I going to use that on a day-to-day basis? I could see myself using telepathy on a daily basis.
Yeah, we diverge on this one. I do not want telepathy. I just don't want it. If somebody was like, you can have it, or you cannot have it, and just be you, I'd be like, just let me be me. I don't want none of that.
You don't want to be Professor X.
No. Hard pass. Too overwhelming. I'm out.
Oh, I love this. I loved this idea. I thought this was such a fun idea.
Yeah, that was fun.
And the fact that I just like literally was like, I'm gonna crowdsource these, and like literally it was at RMK Buried Alive, at Super Murgatroyd, and at Will's Toy Clearance that really gave me a whole bunch of ideas real quickly, and I just wrote them down. I was like, okay, and then I'll just randomly assign them with other things, and we'll go after them, because I think that at the heart of most of us, I think most of us wish we could have some sort of super power.
Yeah.
I think that's a fairly common thing, right? Like we love hearing these stories of men and women who possess these amazing qualities or traits that allow them to do these fantastical things that are beyond something a mere mortal could do. And that would be, like we wish we could have that ourselves, because we try to imagine and stretch our imaginations to like, to what end could we apply that if we had that ability? So
agreed.
So Matt, my question to you is going to be, and to the Super Friends, if you could choose for yourself one superpower, and one superpower only, what would you choose? Now, it doesn't have to be from this list. It could be something else, but what would that be?
Gosh, how are you gonna do that? I'd have to. All the super friends get time to think.
Hey,
We don't
man,
have that luxury.
that we don't. We're putting ourselves on the spot, and that's
All right.
okay.
If I could choose anything, I would choose time travel.
Really, that's the one.
That's the one. As much as I'd like to teleport, that's my kind of 1B. 1A is time travel. I just think that the possibilities are quite literally endless. And you know, there now you've got me going down the time travel thing. There's a whole lot of places I'd like to go, things I'd like to see. I mean, take me to Bethlehem in year 0. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think for me, I'm gonna be Wolverine. The ability to regenerate and heal, like of all the things we were talking about, and like I mean, like flight would be amazing, teleportation would be amazing,
Yeah.
but like the ability to like keep myself perpetually young or at a certain age, the ability to like heal from anything, like I feel like that would be such a good thing to have.
It would be.
Keep myself in shape, like look like ripped Hugh Jackman or something. I don't know. I like the ability of the Wolverine, and if I could get the adamantium claws installed, I totally would do it too. I know that's not part of the thing, but I'm just
Not
saying,
allowed.
if we can stretch it a little, that's what I'm gonna do. So silly and dumb. I love it. Super friends, but that's okay. That's Matt and I. Matt wants to time travel. I mean, Matt wants to be Marty McFly. I want to be Wolverine. Like that's where we're at here. Time travel and regeneration.
Way easier than having to use a DeLorean, and way easier. Okay.
Yep.
My power is time travel.
Your power is time travel. I love it. My power is regeneration. Super friends, you've heard from us now. We want to hear from you. What is your one superpower you would want to have? Let us know and we will talk about it next week. I'm so excited to hear from the Super Friends Matt on this because I think there could be some great things. If you want to let us know why, like what's your reasoning, go ahead. Let us know at all the normal places. You can get us on our email, fortofnerd@gmail.com. On Facebook, facebook.com/fortofnerd. Twitter @fortofnerd. Instagram, fortofnerd. On our Fort of Nerd Discord. Or you can call in and leave us a voicemail, 801-477-7687, and we can listen to that as well next week. And we'll get to your answers next week. Matt, I'm seriously like, I don't know why, I'm just like so excited about this idea. I love that idea. Superpowers. What would you want? Well, anyway, Matt, episode 215 in the books, man. Like we're just rocking and rolling. 2021 kicking off. This is our first episode of 2021. We got a lot more coming up. 51 more episodes this year. Still to go.
51. Let's roll.
Let's do it. All right, super friends, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude, to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you always.